my final installment of brief reviews of each decade. Today it's going to be the final one, which is the 70s. I've actually done this twice before, but for some reason it wouldn't upload and I had technical difficulties. So I'm going to do it one more time. Hopefully it'll upload so people can watch it later. I got got a pretty cool shirt, I think. Let me get away from the glare. Crap. Anyway, it's a Halloween 2 shirt. Obviously, Halloween's my favorite movie, so why not? And it's in the 70s, even though we won't discuss it, because I did a review for it already. Of course, same thing as usual. Like and subscribe, unless you're going to unsubscribe later, and in that case, don't waste my time. But if you're going to stay subscribed, I'd love to have you. Alright, we're going to start with 1970, obviously. Alright. Sorry about the glare. Alright. The Bird with Crystal Plumage. That, I believe, is Dario Argento's first film. Obviously, Dario Argento is the greatest Italian horror filmmaker of all time. He definitely has a Alfred Hitchcock vibe. And this is a movie from the giallo genre, which he was a big proponent of. Giallo is basically a combination of horror and mystery. So Scream, in a way, could kind of be considered a neo-giallo in a way. But The Bird with the Crystal Plumage, it's decent. It's not one of his better ones. He would obviously do better later on. Okay, moving on. The Evils of Dorian Gray. That's a picture of Dorian Gray, kind of adaptation, but it's... Oh, well, here's another thing I forgot to mention. The 1970s was the most shocking era in horror history. Almost all the most shocking movies come from this era. And Evils of Dorian Gray, that is basically, hey, Alistair. Hey, Shanta. Hey, everybody. But the Evils of Dorian Gray is basically a new adaptation. And it's, obviously, it's... Catherine. Hey, Kathleen. Obviously, yeah, it is, I guess. It does have some overtones, let's say. Uh, hey, everybody. Appreciate everyone coming up. But it's got more sex and stuff, so obviously it's a 70s movie. If I recall, it was decent enough. Hey, Shanta. Alright, moving on. Yes, I'm talking about the 70s. Brief horror movies of the 70s. And of course, I'm going to do it to where it's... these are movies I will not make a video on, but I'm going to give a brief review of them here. Hey, someone from China, I can't pronounce your name. Alright, Trog. That's a funny movie. It's kind of like a proto-caveman type. And obviously it features Joan Crawford. Joan Crawford, she was a famous actress from the way old days, but she was an awful person. I mean, if you ever seen the movie Mommy Dearest, sorry, Mommy Dearest, that's basically how she was such a terrible mother. And it's funny, it's kind of cheesy, but she was an awful mother. Towards the end of her career, she did a lot of horror movies. They called them the old Biddy movies. Obviously, the first one was Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, which was how she kind of resurrected her career. And Trog is just a cheesy B movie, but it's good. I like it. Valerie and Her Wicca Wonders. Probably a movie no one has ever heard of here. But it is one of the best vampire movies ever. And I'm someone who's not really a huge vampire fan. It's from Czechoslovakia. And man, it is shocking. It's basically, there's this like 13-year-old chick. And this is the bad parts. She's not only into other chicks, but she's also into her father, and that's weird. Let's not talk about that. But it's one of those surreal type movies. She walks around, there's a lot of weird stuff that goes on, other than the weird sex stuff, which is obviously over the top and shouldn't be there. It's a very interesting kind of surreal type, almost David Lynchian type horror movie. You should really check it out unless you're turned off by all the sex stuff. And in that case, I understand. All right, moving on. 1971. Like what 70s film? Yeah, fit. All right, 1971. The Abominable Dr. Phoebes. That's a neat little Vincent Price movie about a guy who kills people in the way of the 12 plagues of Egypt. It's neat. Bay of Blood. Now, Bay of Blood, that one's an interesting proto slasher movie because it was done by a guy. When were you born? I was born in 1988. I look a lot younger than I am. Hey, Harper. Uh, Bay of Blood. It's a sort of a giallo type. It was done by a guy named Mario Bava who actually created the giallo genre single-handedly with a movie called The Girl Who Knew Too Much. But anyway, this one is like a Friday the 13th type slasher. Before are you? I'm from America, but it's from a Bay of Blood. I got lost. I'm sorry, but it's a really cool Friday the 13th type movie before Friday the 13th even existed. And there's even a part in there. Hi, Mine Duke. You're probably from Germany, buddy. How you doing? But there's a scene where that Friday the 13th Part 2, the first movie with Jason, actually stole a kill from Bay of Blood, where these two people are getting it on, and the killer shish kebabs them, like puts some kind of stick through both of them at the same time and kills them. That movie came from Bay of Blood. It actually did it first, and Friday the 13th 2 stole it. But it is a cool proto kind of Giallo style movie, and it's really awesome. I really enjoy it. If you like early slashers, you should really check it out. Thanks, Harper. All right, moving on. Cat of Nine Tails. That's another decent Giallo from Argento. I can't. I can't honestly say I can't remember. I don't remember much about it, but I do remember it was decent. I have seen well over 1,000 movies, and it's impossible for me to remember them all. Sometimes I can just say, well, that one I remember I liked it, or I didn't like it, or whatnot. The Devils. It's done by a guy named Ken Russell, Ken Russell is really, he does a lot of weird, shocking type movies. And The Devils is a neat movie, I believe, about the Spanish Inquisition when they were killing everyone for being witches, and they actually weren't, of course, historically, but it's a really neat, shocking type horror movie. It was done in 71, and it kind of got that genre off to its. I mean, the 70s, all the most shocking movies came from the 70s. Dr. Jekyll and Sister Hyde. That's a neat, kind of weird movie that's kind of ahead of its time in a way, actually. Basically, Dr. Jekyll, it's the same thing as Jekyll turning into Hyde, but this time he turns into a hot chick, which is kind of, shall we say, bizarre, to say the least. Despite the really weird storyline, it's actually a good movie. It was done and it's one of those Hammer movies, and of course Hammer was a English horror company. All right, Dracula versus Frankenstein. Have you ever heard of the term so bad it's good? Well, this is the perfect movie to describe that. Dracula versus Frankenstein is the worst movie technically speaking, to ever have Dracula or Frankenstein in it. It was done by a guy named Al Adamson, and Al Adamson, he was a hack. He's basically was a modern type of Ed Wood. I mean, the funny thing is, he made this movie. Bye, Harper. Hope you come back again, buddy, or ma'am. Dracula versus Frankenstein. Here's the thing: he made a movie, but he ran out of money to finish it. So he just kept the footage, and then he added new footage with Dracula and Frankenstein, and then he just stuck these two movies together, and they have nothing to do with each other. It's hilarious. And these you have these two movies going on at the same time. They don't have nothing to do with each other. Dracula has this really echoey, fake type voice. And this is the guy who plays Dracula is easily the worst guy to ever don the cape. And Frankenstein, he is so fake looking. I think he wears a mask. I don't think he even has makeup. And the fight at the end is hilarious because it's so dark you can't hardly see what's going on. The acting is god awful. Everything about this movie is awful. And guess what? I like it. So it's just so fun to laugh at. I mean, I don't take drugs, but if I took drugs, I would take drugs and watch this movie. I bet I would laugh so hard I'd pass out. And I think this Al Adamson, his wife, is in this movie also, and she was in a lot of his movies. And I gotta tell you, that's a love affair I wish I could have. Because if being in crappy movies like this doesn't show that you love someone, I don't know what does. All right, moving on. Fright was a good early slasher movie from England. I don't remember nothing about it except I liked it. Same thing about the house that dripped blood. All right. Moving on. Let's Scare Jessica to Death. That's a neat little kind of surreal type movie. Mephisto Waltz about a killer composer. That one was good. Moving on. The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave. That's a neat kind of zombie type movie. And obviously it's from Italy, so there's lots of sex, and there's a hot redhead in it, so yeah. Octoman. It's a half man, half octopus, and it's as fake looking as you can imagine. I'm just shooting through these here. Play Misty for me. That was Clint Eastwood's. I think that's the only horror movie he ever made. I think it's pretty decent. Okay, moving on. Sorry, there's some of these I don't have much to say about. Tombs of the Blind Dead. The zombies look awesome. They're kind of look like Grim Reaper skeleton types. Other than that, that movie's not very good. Twins of Evil. Here we go. The lesbian vampire genre. Obviously, not exactly high art, shall we say, but Twins of Evil is a good movie from Hammer, and it's the first in the so-called lesbian vampire genre. Well, maybe it's not the first, but it's the first one that's actually a real movie, so shall we say. And I dig it. It's got hot babes. Actually, there's a trilogy of it. I dig those. Lesbian Vampires by Jess Franco, however, not so good. Jess Franco, actually Jesus Franco, but he was a really hacky Spanish filmmaker. Basically, he was a horror porn director, but there's a lot more porn than horror, and yeah. Moving on. Whoever Slew Auntie Roo. I don't remember what that's about, but I remember I enjoyed it. Willard. That's a good movie about a guy. He's an outcast, and he somehow develops a friendship with a bunch of rats. And the rats, he basically sends the rats to kill the bullies and the people he doesn't like. It's a good movie. I enjoy it. All right, 1972. Asylum is a good anthology movie. Ben is the sequel to Willard. I don't remember if it's good or not, but I do remember seeing it. Blackula, that is the Black Dracula, shall we say. It comes from a genre called black exploitation, and that was basically when blacks were adding, they were taking their spin on certain genres, but they were putting their own black social spin on it, you know. I didn't like this movie. It's considered the best black exploitation movie, but I have to admit it may be just a case of it not being my cup of tea. As you can see, I'm not exactly from the ghetto, but you should check it out anyway. You may like it. It may just not be my thing. Blood Freak, however, is my thing. This is one of the worst movies ever made, and it's freaking hilarious. It's almost like a Christian horror movie in a way. It's like this, and but the thing is, this guy, it's an. Hey, Alan, how you doing, buddy? Always nice to see you here. Blood Freak, and it's awesome, man. It's an anti-drug movie, and it's got a Christian bent, but it's also about a killer turkey that sucks blood. Does it sounds awful, and it is awful, but it's fun. It's the fun kind of awful. If you like bad movies, you should really check that one out. Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. Probably the most underrated zombie movie of all time. No one has even heard of this movie, but to me, it's awesome. It was done by Bob Clark, who obviously he did Black Christmas, but he also did Porky's, which is a sex comedy, and he did The Christmas Story. So this guy does a lot of different kind of things. And this movie's awesome because it's this group of like actors. They make fun of the dead. They like dig this guy up and they just make fun of him. They have a mock wedding with him. They like say, "Hey buddy, how you doing?" And of course he says nothing. And then they answer for him and they just make it's basically commentary upon how people don't respect the dead. And it's funny, man. The acting is god awful, but that just adds to it. A lot of people I hear say it's boring, and it's true that nothing happens for about the first hour, technically. It's mostly, but I still think it's interesting because all these people, they're weird, eccentric, interesting characters, you know. And just watching them interact to me is fun. Night of the Creeps. I hate to admit this, buddy, but I have seen it, but I don't remember anything about it. But everyone says it's a great movie. And I have seen it, but it's one of those I don't remember. It might be one of those slug movies, maybe. Actually, I do. I think it might be about killer alien slugs that turn people into zombies, I think. Now that I think about it, I did like that movie, actually. But I don't remember it so much, but that doesn't mean it wasn't good. I enjoyed it. But children shouldn't play with dead things. You guys should definitely check it out. The special effects is awesome. The zombies look great, and it's cheesy looking, and it has the best coming out of a cemetery scene I've ever seen in a zombie movie. Definitely gruesomely underrated, and it's one I really enjoy a great deal. All right, moving on. Frogs. Killer frogs. Need I say more? Horror rises from the tomb. Last House on the Left. I am definitely going to do a separate video for that sucker. So it's obviously the first exploitation horror movie. So it's very influential. Some might say it is a bad influence, but it's a classic, and I'm not going to talk about it here because I'm going to do a video about it later. But you should definitely. It was Wes Craven's first movie, and of course Wes Craven, the horror legend who did Scream and Nightmare on Elm Street and Shocker and People Under the Stairs. Horror legend. I miss him. The man from the Deep River. That is the first cannibal horror movie. A lot of you guys probably don't remember, but cannibals were a thing back then, and no, I'm not talking like zombies. I'm talking like tribes in far off countries eating people, and they were some really gory and shocking movies. Obviously, Cannibal Holocaust is the grand standard, but the first movie was this one called The Man from the Deep River. And it's a good movie, and it actually has heart. Most of these movies just exist for shock's sake. But this one, it does have some shocking parts, but it has a heart. This guy from the civilization, he falls in love with the native girl who's smoking hot in this one. And it's actually a nice little love story with some horror exploitation around. It's a good movie. I really enjoy it. Night of the Lepus. That is a movie about killer giant rabbits. The 70's was the last era where the giant animal things were still going on. And it was a decent movie. It's stupid, but decent. Sisters. Here's the thing about Brian De Palma. I'm not a De Palma fan. I'm not saying he's a bad filmmaker, because obviously Carrie's a good movie. Obviously Scarface is a good movie. But he's overrated. None of his stuff, I can't say any of his stuff is particularly great. And a lot of people say he's just this great artist, and I don't buy that. But this Sisters, I think that was his first horror movie. This was before Carrie, obviously, and it's I don't like this one. Tales from the Crypt. And here we're talking about the movie. We're not talking about the great show from the 90's that a lot of us grew up with. This was the one based on the original 50's comic. And Tales from the Crypt, in my opinion, this movie is the greatest anthology horror movie of all time. There's a lot of stories, and every story is a classic. And it's cool because at the end, you get all these people here that are terrible, and they all tell their stories. And at the end, you find out that the Crypt Keeper is the devil, and they're telling about their sins, and he sends them all to hell at the end, which that's cool. Obviously, Bach's classic Toccata and Fugue from and D minor is the theme song of this movie. And if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, it's that really scary classical organ music. You've heard it, you just may not know it until you know. Everyone's heard it, at least snippets of it. But this is a great, great adaptation. One of the most famous ones is actually the one with the killer Santa Claus. That Tales from the Crypt 1972. Check it out. And you can thank me later. All right, moving on. Okay, let's move on to 73. That was the year of The Exorcist, which I did a video on, and we're not going to do it here, but check out my video for it. It's one of my most popular ones. The Baby is a super interesting movie because it's basically about this poor guy. He grows up in a crazy ass family. He's like 30 years old, and they never taught the guy how to read or write or really how to function as an adult. So it's this 30-year-old guy. He still wears diapers. He still craps his pants. He still goes goo goo gaga. And his sisters are using him for sex. Ugh. It's the 70's, man. And it is a really it's one of the most original movies I've ever seen. Just psychological horror at its finest. And the chick that's supposed to take him out, Jim and Palmer. We're just talking about the 70's movies all through here. But it turns out she lost her baby, and she just wants him to be her baby. So the hero in the movie is not actually a hero. Just a really neat movie. All right, The Crazies. I got a disclaimer on this one. The Thing is a masterpiece, my man. Subscribe and check out my video. It was my third video on this channel was The Thing. So I'm assuming you're talking about the 1982 masterpiece. You should really check it out, man. Check out my video for it. I agree. It's one of the greatest movies of all time. And the funny thing is, everyone hated it when it first came out. It almost ruined John Carpenter's career. And now everyone knows it's a classic. You're okay. Some of these comments are a bit weird. I don't know how to I don't know how to respond to that last one. But thanks for sharing. But amen. Oh and God, I did Hellraiser review too. You need to check it out, man. You're speaking my language, Jim and Palmer. I love the old school 80s practical effects. Okay, The Crazies, it was a George Romero movie, and it's similar to a zombie movie, but it's not technically one. But I didn't like it when I saw it as a kid, but I have to admit I was just a kid, so I may watch. It's considered a classic, and I love George Romero. He's my favorite director of all horror. The Living Dead movies are some of the greatest movies, period. And I'm going, I'm going to watch it again, but I'm not sure I gave it the right chance. So I'm not going to comment on The Crazies. I'm just going to say that I didn't like it at the time. I may change my mind when I watch it again. Yeah. Sometimes when you watch stuff as a kid, you can't really get a gauge on it. Okay. Don't Look in the Basement. That's a neat movie about these it's an insane asylum, and the crazies take over the asylum. So all the doctors are supposedly the crazy people and the crazy people are pretending to be doctors. Very good movie. Don't Look Now, however, is not a very good movie, and everyone considers it a classic. I don't know what they're smoking. I'd like to have some of it. I watched it, and other than there's a really nice steamy sex scene, which is long and slow and good. Other than that, that movie does nothing for me. All right, moving on. Oh God, Andy Warhol's Frankenstein. Man, oh man, oh man. I'm gonna do a video for it. I'm gonna skip it, but I love that movie, and I love Andy Warhol's Dracula also. I love B movies, exploitation movies. A more modern film. I have not seen The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. I'll look it up. I've never heard of it, but you say it's not good, and you may be right. I don't know. I'll check it out. Frankenstein: The True Story. That was a television movie. It's got a neat. It's got a neat kind of vibe because usually Frankenstein is this ugly guy made out of dead bodies, but this one does the exact opposite. He actually makes an Adonis, like a really good-looking dude, but since he's made out of dead parts, he rots eventually, so he eventually turns into a monster over the course of the film. And it's got Jane Seymour playing, aka Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman. I've never seen Marmite. I gotta check these out. But Jane Seymour plays a kind of bride of Frankenstein, and she's hot. I mean, even when she was old and Dr. Quinn, she was hot. And this is her when she was young and hot. So, yeah. Good television movie. Not a lot of good television horror movies, but that one is one of them. The Iron Rose. It was done by a guy named Jean Rollin. He was a French director. He's basically a slightly classier version of Jesus Franco. He basically combines horror and porn. Let's put it that way. With more porn than the horrors. And I don't like any of his movies except for this one. I do like The Iron Rose, and it's fascinating. These two lovers, they go in a cemetery, and honestly, it's one of those. It's the only movie I can honestly say that I've saw that you're watching nothing happen, and it's still exciting. And those of us who've watched it understand what I mean. I can't really describe it, but In a lot of ways, nothing actually happens, but it's really poetic and interesting. It's artsy. You may not like it. You may find it boring, and I understand that, but I like it. Legend of Hell House. That's a neat kind of modern uptake of The Haunting with more sex and stuff. It's a really good movie. The Legend of Hell House. La Mora. That one is a weird ass movie. It's basically a vampire and a werewolf movie because there's like werewolves that are henchmen. But it's like this weird, like witch vampire chick, and she kidnaps kids, and she may or may not have a thing for the main character, who's kind of a girl, kind of an underage girl. So that's kind of gross. But the imagery is really cool. The vampires look really cool. The cinematography is great. It's a really good movie if you can stand all the creepy stuff. La Mora, that's what it's called. There was a lot of really screwed up vampire movies in the 70s, as you can tell. Okay, moving on. Schlock. That was John Landis. He was the guy who obviously did American Werewolf and Werewolf in London, and he also did like the Blues Brothers, and I think he did Animal House. He did a lot of comedies. He's mostly a comedy director, but he has done a few horror movies, and Schlock is a neat one. It's kind of a modern take on like Neanderthal man and stuff. Animal House is considered a classic comedy. It's got uh, Jim Belushi. He was kind of a Saturday Night Live guy back when Saturday Night Live didn't suck. I've never seen it. Comedies aren't really my thing, but everyone says it's a classic. So, all right, moving on. Theater of Blood. That's a funny Vincent Price movie. Basically, it's this guy. He's an actor and he does Shakespeare, and the critics hate him. It's basically a commentary on Vincent Price. Vincent Price didn't like how the critics said he was over the top and cheesy, which he is, but that's his trademark. And he kills his own critics by using deaths in Shakespeare plays. It's a really neat movie, really interesting. And of course, I'm a huge Vincent Price head. The Wicker Man, definitely going to do a review for that sucker. One of the greatest horror movies of all time. But I'm not going to do it here. Abby is the one black exploitation movie that I like. It's basically a black take on The Exorcist, and it's a good one. Kind of cheesy, but it's good. Black Christmas. This is obviously the one from the 70s, not the woke, crappy one from modern. Hey, Alan. Glad you're here, buddy. But Black Christmas, it was actually one of the first slasher movies to get famous, and it's a really good movie. It's not as good as everyone says it is. It is pretty influential. But it was one of the first movies where the killer used the phone to kind of taunt his victims. But the problem is the beginning of the movie is really great. The killer Billy is really awesome, but man, this movie is super slow. And the middle is really boring and hard to sit through. And frankly, I don't like any of the characters either. Even though Olivia Hussey's nice to look at, definitely. But Black Christmas, I don't like it as much as a lot of people do. It's one of those movies. It was underrated in its time, and now it's overrated now. But it's a good movie. And it influenced a lot of movies that I love, like Halloween. So I appreciate it. It's a movie I appreciate a lot more than I like. All right, moving on. Deranged. That's a good little riff on Ed Gein, who was obviously the real serial killer who influenced Psycho and Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Buffalo Bill. All right. It's Alive. That's a good movie about a killer baby. If you're one of those people that are... Hell, I better not get into that. Anyway, it's a cool movie about a killer baby. Let's just put it that way. And the killer baby is really cheesy. Let Sleeping Corpses Lie. That was the first sort of modern zombie movie where they actually had some gore in it. It's a good movie for sure. Not a great movie, but a good movie. I think farm equipment makes the dead rise for some reason. I even think there's a part when a zombie bites a guy's dick off or something. That may be a different movie. I don't remember. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but it's a good movie. Okay, Shanks. That was the last movie William Castle ever made, and it is weird. Really weird. What horror movie has the most deaths in it? I don't know the answer to that one, but I know the movie Dead Alive is by far the most gory movie of all time. Okay, moving on. Sugar. Oh, yeah. That one's not particularly notable. I'll just skip that one. All right, we're halfway there. 1975. Thanks for everybody sticking around and commenting. Okay, Deep Red. This is the greatest giallo movie of all time, and it's done by Dario Argento. This was when he started his classic era. And this was also the first movie where he brought the rock band Goblin into. You see, he hooked up with a Italian prog band called Goblin, and they did spooky music, and they didn't have any vocals. Everything was instrumental. And he basically hooked up with them, and they would make music to be soundtracks to his movies. And these guys knew what they were doing. Goblin is a great progressive rock band, and Deep Red was the first movie they collaborated. The theme song is fantastic. It's like gothic musical box with some jazz influence in it. Really awesome. One of the greatest theme songs of all time. The plot is kind of stupid, which that is you have to just deal with that when it comes to Argento because he's all style and not much substance. But Deep Red is the best giallo movie ever made. And not just that, the kills in it are fantastic. And the cool thing about Dario Argento is no one films kills like him. Even if there's just a random stabbing, he somehow finds a way through camera angles and whatnot to make it interesting. Really good movie. Okay, moving on. Obviously, I did a review for Jaws. You guys should check it out. Picnic at Hanging Rock. That's a really weird movie. I don't remember much about it except it was weird. I did like it, though. The Rocky Horror Picture Show. Here's the thing. I thought I would hate this movie because it's a movie about killer drag queens. And no offense to the gay folks and all that, but that's just not my thing, man. But anyway, I thought I would hate this movie, but I actually enjoyed it a great deal. It's really it's really cheesy, but it's good. It's fun to watch. Tim Curry, obviously, he's the real Pennywise, the real one. This was his first horror movie, and he plays the killer drag queen, and he does a great job in it. Also, Meatloaf, God rest his soul, he's in this movie. The music is actually kind of neat, and that's just a neat movie despite being really bizarre. Salo or the 120 Days of Sodom. That is a movie that we are not going to cover here, but I will get to it. The most shocking, disturbing movie ever made by anyone, period. That's all I've got to say about that. Trilogy of Terror, that's a good television movie. All right, The Stepford Wives. It's a neat movie. The concept for it's really cool because it's basically they go to this town and all the wives have been replaced by robots. Watch Hostel. I have seen Hostel. I honestly didn't care for it, but I do like all the babes in it. How would you rate the Leprechaun movies? Oh, I hate to hate on the Leprechauns because I do like B movies and such, but that one's even too dumb for me. The first one's not god awful. It's not particularly good, but I don't. It's not. It's watchable. The rest of them are awful. Actually, they're all awful, but I can sit through the first one. I'm sorry if you're a big Leprechaun fan, but that's how I feel about it. Uh, all right. Where was I? Oh yeah, the Stepford Wives. It's basically it's a kind of a feministy tale about. It basically says that men don't want women with personalities. They just want someone to screw them and do what they tell them and cook their food and stuff. So obviously, it's a little heavy-handed in that way. I don't like feminist crap, but it's an interesting concept, and it's neat. I like it. I can't say I completely buy into all the commentary on it, but I do like it. All right, blood-sucking freaks. Now, a lot of people say horror is a sexist genre, and I don't buy that. But if you went just by blood-sucking freaks, you're perfectly right. Because blood-sucking freaks, it is really misogynistic. I mean, basically, it's like a freak show, and freak shows are supposed to be fake, but this one turns out to be real. And you got killer midgets, and you got guys just using women as sex slaves and torturing them just for the sake of torturing them. Since I'm since I'm a weird person, I kind of enjoy it. I mean, I don't appreciate the sexism and whatnot, but it is so over the top and weird and bizarre that I can't help but like it. Burnt Offerings. That is a freaking good movie. One of the best ghost movies. And the cool thing about Burnt Offerings is it's one of those movies where the house itself is literally haunted. It's like it's not that the ghosts are haunting the house, it's that the house is haunting the ghosts. So it's a really neat movie. The ending, especially, is awesome. A real old international horror movie. All right, tell me what it is, man. I've probably seen it. I've seen a lot. Just tell me what it is. All right. Hmm. Grizzly. That's a nice little Jaws ripoff with obviously a grizzly bear instead of a shark. The little girl who lives down the lane. That's a good movie, but I wouldn't call it a horror movie. Okay. The Omen. I dig The Omen, man. It's an awesome movie. Obviously, it's based on the book of Revelation, and that's my favorite book of the Bible. I've read the entire Bible, and that's my favorite book. And The Omen, it's got a fantastic score. It's like a choir from hell. That's what the score is. And the kills are surprisingly awesome. It is a Hollywood horror movie with Hollywood actors like Gregory Peck and Richard Donner. He's a Hollywood guy, but they actually do it hardcore. It proves that Hollywood can actually do a good horror movie. V, I have seen that V. I don't remember nothing about it. But The Omen, man, it's good. And it's obviously about this guy. He finds out that his kid is the Antichrist, and he has to decide: should I kill him for the sake of humanity, or how can I kill my own kid? It's just a really good movie, awesome movie. The sequels, not so much. The third sequel's okay, but they're not particularly good. All right, moving on. The Tenant. I do not. I am a Roman Polanski hater. He is so gruesomely overrated. I don't know why people think he's so great. And I have seen V. I just can't remember it. I'm sorry about that, bud. I may check it out again since you mentioned it. But The Tenant, that's the one Roman Polanski movie I like. And it's weird. It's a surrealistic movie. And it's one of those movies that you're not sure if what you're seeing is real. It's really bizarre, nightmarish. If all the movies were as good as this one, then Polanski would deserve his reputation. One of the weirdest movies I ever seen, The Tenant. The Town That Dreaded Sundown, that one was interesting because it influenced Jason, actually, Friday the 13th Part 2, it steals the potato sack mask because it goes back to the killer from the town that dreaded sundown who wore a potato sack. And it's also influenced. It was actually inspired by a true story about a real serial killer that never got caught. And also, it features a guy killing a person with a saxophone. Don't ask, just check it out. Okay, where was I? Am I on the 77? Audrey. Okay, yeah. I'm a la Carta. That's a weird kind of lesbian vampire with teenagers. It's kind of weird, but it's good. There's a lot of weird vampire stuff in the 70s, as you can see. The Car, that's a good movie about a killer car. And obviously, it came before Christine. Day of the Animals, that's a neat movie where animals just start randomly killing people for some reason. Demon Seed, if anyone's familiar with the writer Dean Koontz, this was his first published novel, I believe, and it's a neat movie about a computer that falls in love with a human chick and kind of tries to possess her and stuff. It's a good movie. It's also a good book. Eraserhead, we will get in. I will do a David Lynch video and I will discuss it. So I'm going to skip it. But Eraserhead, definitely notable. All right, moving on. Orca. That is one of my favorite Jaws ripoffs, and it's about a killer whale. A killer whale. And the cool thing about it is, it's like these sailors, they kill his family, and he goes on a rampage. And at the end, the main character says he feels sorry for the killer whale that they have to kill him. And he says, "You loved your family more than I loved mine," which is really kind of touching and poetic in a way. All right, moving on. The Sentinel. That is an awesome movie. It's got this smoking hot chick who's a model, and she goes to a hotel and she sees a lot of weird stuff, and she finds out that it's a doorway to hell. It's like on top of a doorway to hell. And at the end, she keeps seeing her abusive father, and he's really screwed up looking. The special effects makeup is fantastic. And the scene at the end when all the hell's demons come out, one of the best scenes in all of horror. Really awesome movie that no one seems to know about. Obviously, Suspiria, I'm going to do a video for it. Obviously, it's a classic. All right, guys, we're almost done. We're now at 1978. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes. What can I say? Killer Tomatoes. Stupid but fun. Damien the Omen 2. I already said I'm not a big fan of the Omen sequels. This is the one where he's a kid and he first finds out he's the Antichrist. It should be a good movie, but it's not. It's long and kind of boring. Okay, moving on. I Spit on Your Grave. It is a Last House on the Left ripoff. And obviously, it's one of those rape revenge movies. Like these guys rape, this chick gets raped, and then she comes back and kills them in graphic ways. Last House on the Left was artsy, and it actually had something going for it. This one is just nothing but shock for shock's sake. But it the story behind it's interesting because the director, him and his son, actually found a naked chick in the woods, and she had been raped, and this inspired the movie. And it is heavy on the rape part. I mean, the rape part lasts like 30 minutes. And the the revenge is not near as good as Last House on the Left, I don't think, but it is. I mean, it's shocking. It's kind of mediocre. It's not very. What about Cargo 2000? I've never seen that one, bud. Cargo 2000. I'll check it out and see. But I Spit on Your Grave. It is not Last House on the Left. But there is a part when a chick she lures the guy who raped her into the bathroom, pretending that she's gonna screw him, and she cuts his dick off, and there's like blood all over the tub. That part is neat. Invasion of the Body Snatchers remake. Obviously, the special effects are good, but it's not a bad movie necessarily, but it just doesn't do much for me personally. Not 2000, it's 200. Cargo 200. What's it about? Is it a horror movie? Magic, that's a good movie about a killer dummy. Obviously, this was Anthony Hopkins before he got famous, and it's based on true story. Tell me what it's about. But obviously, Slappy is the most famous killer dummy. Martin, that is a really awesome vampire movie, and it's done by George Romero. And the cool thing is, you're really not sure if this guy is a vampire or not, because he may be a vampire, but at the same time, he may just have superstitious family that brainwashed him into thinking he's one. And he doesn't actually bite and suck blood, he just cuts them with a razor and sucks the blood. And my I guess at the end you can interpret it if he is or not. I don't I think he's just a crazy guy who thinks he's a vampire. But Romero was never said, so I guess that's up to your interpretation. It's a good movie though. Definitely an excellent movie. Definitely the best yeah, the best movie that George Romero made that's not about zombies. One of the best vampire movies of all time for sure. Patrick, I think that's a movie about a killer who's a guy in a coma who kills people with telekinesis. I think that's what that's about. It was good if I remember right. It's certainly interesting. All right, Piranha, 1978, done by Joe Dante before he made Gremlins, of course, and The Howling, which is my favorite movie of his. It's a good Jaws ripoff. Spielberg even said it was the best of the Jaws ripoffs. It is not as good as the cheesy fun remake, though, but it's still good. Yeah. All right, moving on. We're down to the last year, 1979. Thanks everybody for listening and everything. I appreciate everybody showing up. Alien and Amityville Horror, obviously classic gems that I'm not going to get to here because I'm going to do my own review for them later. A girl was kidnapped by. She's a daughter of Big. Okay. It sounds interesting, Cargo 200. I'll check it out. I'm kind of interested by that. Yeah. Oh, it sucks. Oh, I won't watch it then. I'm kind of interested in it anyway. But I'm kind of interested in that, like, Cold War stuff. All right. The Brood, that's like a movie about killer kids, kind of. It's considered a David Cronenberg classic, but it's not one of his better movies, in my opinion. It's okay, though. Dracula 1979. That one's kind of unique in a way because it depicts Dracula. It's more on the romancy side, so it definitely influenced Bram Stoker's Dracula. And it's good. I actually like it. A lot of people don't, but I actually enjoy it. We're just about done, guys. Nosferatu the Vampire. And this is not the movie from last year. This is the original remake from 79, and I do not like it. It's considered a classic, but I don't like this version of this remake. I do like the modern one though. The one from last year is a good movie. I did a review for it. You should check it out. Obviously, the original Nosferatu is a silent masterpiece. All right, now we're talking Phantasm. Phantasm is a weird series of movies. And the cool thing about it is it's one of those surrealistic type movies. You're really not sure what actually goes on. You're not sure if what you're seeing is real or if it's just this kid having nightmares. It's got a really neat vibe. Can you watch trailer at the end? Trailer? Uh, I would, but I don't know how. Watch a trailer at the end of my. I don't know how to watch that and stream at the same time. But anyway, Phantasm's really good. Obviously, the Tall Man is a masterpiece. It got these flying balls that drill stuff in your head and shoot blood out, and it's got the fakest looking bug I ever seen in a movie. Really awesome movie. The musical score is the best part. I mean, the music to Phantasm, one of the greatest musical scores of all time. Very Halloween-esque. And obviously, the original may be the best one. The second one's my favorite, but I admit it has a lot of problems. So the first one may objectively be the best. You can't go wrong with any of the first three. Now, 4 and 5 aren't any good at all. But the first three Phantasms are good movies. All right, moving on. When a Stranger Calls, the thing about it is it only has. I'll check it out. But When a Stranger Calls, it's a movie, the beginning of it, where she talks to the killer on the phone. That's a great scene. But only the first 10 minutes of it's good. After that, the movie sucks. But the intro influenced Scream, so it is good. And last but not least, this is our last movie we're going to talk about, Zombie 2, aka Zombie. Here's the thing. Dario Argento, he helped Ramiro fund Dawn of the Dead, which obviously is one of the greatest zombie movies of all time. And he helped him fund it, but he also took the movie and edited it to take out all the talking parts and make it more action-oriented. And he called it Zombie in his native Italy. So this is supposedly a sequel to his Zombie, which it doesn't actually have nothing to do with it other than they both have zombies. But it was done by a guy named Lucio Fulci. And he's a guy who, his movies have lots of great gore and lots of great music and not much else. Honestly, I'm not a fan. A lot of people love his stuff. I'm not one of them. But Zombie is one of his better movies. It's got one of the coolest looking zombies. Just look at the video cover and you'll know what I'm talking about. And the gore, if anything, is even more gory than Dawn of the Dead. Probably not as gory as Day of the Dead, but definitely gorier than Dawn of the Dead. And the musical score is awesome. That's the thing about Italians. They know how to make music. But here's the thing about Zombie that everyone remembers. There's two scenes that everyone remembers from that movie. One is when that zombie slowly gets that hot chick and moves her head towards a splinter, and it slowly impales her eye and blood and pus shoot out. One of the goriest scenes ever. And there's obviously the scene where the zombie fights with the shark. So I don't know, does the shark turn into a zombie if it bites it? I don't know. But they had a guy actually fight with the shark in real life. I don't know how it didn't eat him. But that's it, man. I don't like Lucio Fulci movies in general, but Zombie is a good one, and also The Beyond is a good one. I don't like any of the rest of them. Really, it's nothing but gore for gore's sake, but it works for those two. And that's it. Thanks, everybody, for checking me out. Thanks for everybody talking, and I'll try to look at Cargo 200 and see how it does. I appreciate you, and like and subscribe unless you're not going to stay subscribed, and in that case, don't waste my time. But if you're going to stay subscribed, I'd love to have you. And thanks for showing up, and let's get with it.